Welcome to Chillin with Ice with me, Lori Fetrick, or most of you know me as Ice from the American Gladiators. Thank you for joining me on this podcast where we're going to dive in and go behind the scenes on the #1 hit iconic show of the 90s. It's time to get up close and personal on what drove us to be gladiators, what challenges we faced, and how we overcame to reach all of our goals. I know in this first season, inquiring minds want to know, was there drama, fights, hookups? Are we all still friends? What did we do in our personal lives, and how are we staying in such good shape years later? Well, stay right here and let's get into Chillin' with Ice. Thank you so much for your ongoing support and listening to the podcast. I just wanted to take a minute and let you know that I'll be traveling in the next couple weeks, so I'll be taking a break from the podcast. You can expect a new episode dropping on your feed the week of September 18th. Now, if you can't wait that long for a new episode to drop, you can always subscribe to my Patreon and binge all the bonus content I have over there. There will also be some behind the scenes of my trip and vlog style podcast episodes. Thank you so much again for your continued support. My next guest is the co-host of Rare Form Radio podcast, which I actually had the pleasure of being on a couple weeks ago. She's also a descendant from the ghost town Van Tassell. And she was also a bass guitar player in the Electric Hellfire Club in 1993 through 2002. She's done a lot of things out there. She's been a group supervisor. And unfortunately, she was assaulted by a homeless man in California, where you're going to hear the entire story. So you're not going to want to miss this episode. I am so happy to introduce Heidi Sabrina Van Tassell. So Heidi.
Yes.
How are you today? Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I know I pulled your ass out of bed this morning.
Yeah, you're like, I feel like I need you every day to just call me and be like, that's it.
I could do that.
I'm serious.
I should provide a service for people.
Yes.
You know, like that phone service that goes, hello, wake your ass up, get up, grab some coffee and let's go.
Back in the day, excuse me, back in the day, I think there's things that would call you and
No, that's the hotel service.
Oh. Oops.
You're like, oh yeah.
But you were great. Like, you're like, just get up. It's beautiful out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You're like,
and
okay.
I got up and I feel fantastic
There
now.
you go, see?
I mean, I've had 2 monsters.
Oh, 2?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Just one.
Just one.
And
We were
2 cups
talking
of
about the
coffee.
Celsius beforehand, and it's like, I had a Celsius before we got here, and I've never drank a Monster, and I have no idea.
Well,
I mean,
I think yours is more extreme because they're making videos about it. Like your video, and then that one girl that was actually like in tears, like, I don't know, I need to go to the doctor.
It's
So,
just
I mean,
a little too much caffeine.
yeah, nothing wrong with that. Anyhow.
Let's get into your backstory a little bit.
Okay.
So you are a descendant from Van Tassell.
Yes.
Tell me about that. It's a ghost town.
Well, that is, so it's, it was my great uncle. Great uncle?
How many greats are in there?
He's fantastic. My fantastic uncle.
There you go.
He started this town, and he wasn't a very popular man because he didn't want to import. It's a long story, but he didn't want to.
I kind of watched a little bit of video on it.
He's kind of a dick.
There
Really.
you go. Okay.
And he had like 4 or 5 wives. Like, I mean, he divorced them. Wasn't like a Mormon or anything.
Yeah.
But he would have President Roosevelt and him would hunt on the land, and he was buddies with Teddy Roosevelt.
Wow.
But it's a ghost town. But all I want to do is move there and become like the mayor of 25 people. Be like, don't you know who I am? Race through the town.
Exactly.
But I was born in Wisconsin, raised in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I was born into a Jehovah's Witness family, unfortunately.
Oh, a little unfortunate. We'll go there in a second.
Yeah, and and then I moved to Chicago, and I was working at a bar, and I was singing behind the bar, and I was like
we all do.
I was 20,
Now, wait, were you on top of the bar doing the Coyote Ugly dance?
No, I was behind the bar, thank God, or I wouldn't have gotten it. No, I would have fallen. And then I got asked by the guys in Throat Kill Cult, which was an old Wax Trax band in Chicago. There's a band called Cam, FDM, like all those guys, like Ministry, and they'd all come to this bar, and they're like, hey, we need a backup girl, like go-go girl. So then I started in this band called the Electric Hellfire Club, which is the keyboard player from the Thrill Kill Cult. And then on tour, opening for Danzig, which, I mean, we toured with the most amazing bands.
So were you actually on the road touring with like the rock band? So you were on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, how was that life for you?
I was the only girl.
Oh.
And this was the 90s, so I was the only girl. There wasn't a lot of girls in rock bands.
No, there wasn't.
There was like Lunatics, L7,
Yeah.
Sean from White Zombie.
Right.
And we played with all those people. It was so fun. It was fun.
Did Joan Jett try to start the whole female rock era back in the day?
Yeah.
But it just never really...
Yeah, I don't know what. And it was always like, I didn't want to be the token backup girl, like dancing around. I was like, I want an instrument. So they got me a bass, and I started to listen to this, like the Stooges and the Cars, and the bass in that is so great. And I taught myself how to play bass.
Seriously, by ear?
By ear.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, and my dad plays, he plays guitar by ear too.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how someone would do that, you know? I actually took guitar lessons when I was a kid.
Nice.
Loved it, but I still wanted to go outside and just play softball. Right. I was like, I do not want to sit here and practice.
Right.
But I was like,
tedious. And you gotta do the exercise, and your fingers hurt.
Oh my God. You know what's so funny is all I wanted to do was play the electric guitar.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd walk into the instruction guy, and he was like, okay, here we go. And there was like this little classic guitar thing. And I'm like, no. I want to play electric guitar. You know, kind of thing. But if I could do it all over again, and I had that little magic genie that said, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Give me your wish. I would want to be like the lead singer of a rock band.
I can see you. You can still do that.
Can't sing worth a shit.
Okay, well.
But then again, there's a lot of voice tracks, so maybe I could.
Yeah, you could totally. There's a lot of people.
God, how fun was that though?
It was great, and it was my birthday a couple weeks ago, and I thought about it, and I was like, I wish I would have enjoyed it more. I enjoyed it, but I didn't like
the journey.
Yes,
the journey.
You know, I was young. It was my 20s, and I just wish I would have taken it in more.
And it's interesting you say that, because that was kind of like when I was in Gladiators, my late 20s, I was just in it. But you're right. I can't really say that I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
But I was always looking ahead. I was looking at what's at the end of the rainbow. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And so today, it's like, you know, since everything is really popping and moving and everything, now it's like people are like, how are you feeling about like this, you know, basic like second act? And I'm like, my big thing right now is just enjoying the journey and meeting people and connecting with people, you know, and listening to their journeys and what they've done in their life is just fascinating to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's as we get to a certain age.
Maybe that's it. We're just getting old as fuck.
I'm kind of like, I just pulled a muscle in my back by talking.
Getting out of the shower and wiping down. It's like, oh.
But I was thinking about that. So I've been doing, on my Instagram, I'm doing like, every week I put up a picture of touring and of myself like back then, and I'll add like a little story to it.
That's so awesome.
So it's fun. I have the pictures, and we didn't have... There were no, here's a story that's if you dive deep into like Google.
Yeah.
We recorded our first record at Smart Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. And Butch Vig, who's the drummer for Garbage, and he started Garbage.
Oh, okay.
That's his place. So we became friends. I was 20. And we'd go have lunch, and he was awesome. Well, we went on tour for our first album, and we didn't have a cell phone. So
it's so weird to say, isn't it?
It's crazy. And then it was 1991, maybe 90. Okay. There were no. I mean, there were like the big ones that some like executive had or whatever. Yeah. But so we had the calling card. You'd remember like the 20, like 29, you know.
Yep.
And I remember our manager. I called the manager because being the only girl in the band, for some odd reason, I was kind of like the mom, or I was like the secretary, which makes sense.
Yeah,
bunch
totally.
of like metal guys.
Right.
And I called and he goes, "Hey, Butch wants to talk to you." And here I go again. This is such regret. I was like, okay, like, I didn't know. Like, what does he want? Like, he's married. That's my instant thought. But of course, he was like the sweetest guy. I'm like, well, okay. And we kept doing shows, and I drink and have fun. And like maybe like a month after we get back, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to call Butch. Well, what he wanted to do was audition me to be the lead singer of his new band that he was forming called Garbage.
No way.
And there was three of us that he wanted to.
So that's like one of your little moments.
Oh God!
Can you imagine? Let's go there for a second. Like if that was like, you know, I always talk about the sliding doors of your life. You know, it's like, have you ever seen that movie, Sliding Doors? Super cool.
I haven't.
Okay, it's super cool. It's basically just about a woman, like she either makes the subway or she doesn't.
Wow.
And it shows the two lives that she leads if she did one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's super cool.
I'll have to watch it.
But anyway,
that's
yeah,
my
sliding doors.
door for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So can you imagine your life if you would have been that lead singer of Garbage?
Yes, I can now. But the craziest thing is that the lead singer and I lived across the street from each other about 10 years ago. I walk out of my front door and Shirley Manson is standing there and she's like, hey, because we look alike. If I lost like 30 pounds, I would look like her. But we look so much alike, and we've met over the years, and she kind of knew the story too.
Wow.
And I walk out of the house and she's got her little dog and she's like, I know you. And I'm like, oh my God, how crazy is this?
So crazy and cool.
Anyhow, that's one of the stories of being in the band, but it was really cool. It's cool to meet people who are old fans, or people who are like, when I was in grade school, you were my favorite.
Oh my God. Do you feel old when they do that?
Yes, very old.
God,
but I was young when I started too, though.
I know.
But
you know, it's interesting that you say that because, you know, we're starting to do like autograph signings and meet and greets now and everything. And I was talking about how, and how weird it feels, meaning this. Okay, I was a gladiator when I was 28, so that whole, you know, the whole genre and everything. And so as I was getting older, people still knew. But now, I was sitting there and I was doing a meet and greet, and the guy comes up. He goes like, hey, what's going on here? This is really cool. What do you got going? I said, you know, Ice from American Gladiators meet and greet, and I have this over here, and is, you know. And he goes, huh. And I go, have you seen Gladiators? He goes, no. Have you ever heard of them? No. I was like, kept asking these questions. I go, and finally I go, how old are you? He goes, 22. Oh. And I go, so it's just really kind of bizarre now.
Yeah.
You know, that there's this whole, you know, like age group now that has no fucking clue who we are, you know?
But the weird thing is that when I was that age, I knew a lot of the old stuff, but I was talking with a girl at work because I work at a place where a lot of famous people will walk in, and it was Bette Midler and somebody else that she was with, and I work with a girl who's a singer, and I'm like, oh my God, aren't you excited? And she was like, what? And I go, that's Bette Midler. She's like, who's that?
No
and I'm like,
way.
And this girl is 28.
Wow.
And me and this other guy I work with who's a little older, we were so sad. We're like, I don't know who Bette Midler is.
I mean, some of these young millennials, and I mean, even, okay, wait, what's the group now before millennials?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, right?
Yeah. But there's so much YouTube. They can go on YouTube, they can see things, but anyway.
But I think there's so much that they had, like back then we didn't have all that stuff. So I just watched
we were more
movies and
starstruck
shows.
Back then, of course.
Yeah.
You know, because we didn't have the accessibility.
Yep, that's true.
And that's really what it is.
Yep.
We don't. Now they have the accessibility to where they can, you know, like I always joke and say we can look in J-Lo's closet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or
So
yeah.
let's go to.
I was all over the place. I'm sorry, but you
know,
asked me a
I love
question.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
I want to get into what the hell happened with this homeless person.
Oh my God.
Okay, so if I'm correct, it aired on like the news, and you got in magazines, and I mean this was huge. This was big.
Insane. So
okay, so let's hear the story of what happened here.
And this is how basically I wouldn't have met you if this wouldn't have happened, because
even bad things that happened turn out good.
Yeah. So I was the guest on Rare Form Radio because they called me. They're like, hey, would you? And I was like, I don't want to.
Oh, and by the way, I need to say that Heidi is the co-host of Rare Form Radio podcast. My bad.
I didn't mean to plug it in there.
Plug it, baby.
But I wouldn't have been on that show if it wasn't for, because they asked me to not make fun of it, but they were very sincere and very like, and I came at it, I've come at it with a sense of humor anyhow.
Good. All right.
I was walking to my car on Hollywood and Bronson, and I opened my car door. I heard this like sound coming from like, it was the weirdest sound, and I looked up, and it was a guy about 6'2", just running full speed at me. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything. He just was having a moment, and I didn't have time to get in my car. And I lived in Chicago for years, so I feel very like, and I've lived here for years, and nothing, knock on wood, has ever happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Right.
I've never been scared, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And he came at me, and he threw me in the car. And when he threw me in the car, he tore my bicep.
Ooh.
And I fell, and I threw my purse back, and then I was like,
You got pissed.
Yeah. Is it cool if I swear on
this? Oh,
this?
you can say anything you want on my podcast.
So I remember I said, what the fuck? And I went to go out, and he pushed me in again. And this time, my whole body, I just felt like, I don't know, I wasn't there. I saw my life flash before my eyes, because he was staring at me, and he just hated me.
Was he creepy looking?
He was gorgeous.
Oh, weird.
Like the prettiest face you've ever. It was a bizarre moment, and he just was staring at me, and he had something in his hand. So this is just with one hand he's doing this.
Yeah.
And I just went limp, and I was like, okay, he's either gonna rape me, murder me. This is it.
Yeah.
Wow, this sucks on Hollywood Boulevard.
This is how I'm gonna go out.
Come on. But I was like, oh, I've had a good life, and this is what
You did not.
I did. I was like, okay, well, this is okay. Well, this is.
Oh my God, that's funny. Okay.
Cool, whatever. Right. And he pulled me out by my shirt, and this thing that he had in his hand was an old coffee can of his shit. His feces.
Ugh.
And I had my hair in a bun like I do now, and he started to pour it on me. And back in the 80s, there was this supermodel who, I don't know if you remember, she had acid poured on her face.
No, I didn't.
She was famous. And that's what it felt like. It felt hot.
Oof.
Right here. And then when I realized
what it was,
I started screaming.
Flipping out.
But then I wanted to keep my mouth shut.
Of course.
I thought about that the other day, because I was like, I screamed, and then I went like that, and I closed my eyes because it started to pour down my eyes.
Yeah.
And he just, it was like one of the cops said, it looked like he had stored up for like a month.
Wow.
Poured it all over me and just left me. So I'm in the middle of, and this is all within a second.
Of course.
Because it's a busy street. But at that time, this was like 9:30. There was nobody around. It was the weirdest thing. And he left me there. This couple that had just seen Cats, as if their night couldn't get worse.
Right.
Let's go see Cats, and now we've got this shit girl
show.
Standing there.
Literally a shit show.
Yeah. They pulled over. They're from the South. They were so nice. And I was screaming, and they called 911. The cops were there instantly, which is so
that's even bizarre. In
even
LA.
more bizarre. This is, and she helped me with I opened my eyes. I'm like, that's him. So he was across the street.
Right.
no shoes on. That's the sound I heard because it was like, and I was sobbing because it was just this, and my arm was hurt.
Dude, that's traumatic.
So the firemen come, and I'm answering these questions from the cops, and I was like, he's right there. He's right there.
Yeah.
That's him. They're like,
Grab
are you sure
him.
that's him? So they went over. And the firemen had to strip off my clothes, and they were the hottest firemen I've ever seen in my life.
So you had a hot homeless man, and then you had
I have hot shit, and now hot firemen.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
And so they had to throw. I had all my favorite stuff on too. Just like, I mean, that doesn't matter. At least I'm alive. But
yeah,
there's some news places where I had said, if I would have just, I mean, sometimes I think just shoot me in the leg or the freaking, like, I'd rather have that than fucking shit poured on me.
yeah. I don't know. That's a hard like decision to make.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, or like just
shoot me in the leg.
just a wound, just a little like a.
Yeah, that has to be the most traumatic
God.
thing I've ever heard.
So then the fireman said, we have to hose you down.
Oh my God.
Lori, that's how bad it was. I was soaked in this homeless man's shit. So they made a makeshift shower against the thing. So that, of course, the hottest of the hot ones, he stood in there with me, and they're all really young.
Yeah.
So I kept saying, I'm not bikini ready. I had socks on and my underwear and my bra. I mean, come on. And then there's people on the street with their phones. I was like, put down your fucking phones, like crazed. And then I'm sobbing, laughing.
Right.
Because the guy, because I told him, I said, I'm like Meryl Streep in Silkwood. And he was like, what's that? I'm like,
Oh my
it's
God.
a movie. I think it won an Oscar. And he's like, you are so funny. And I was like, thanks. Like,
You're like, look at the situation I'm in.
so they wrapped me up, they put me in the back, and then I had to go identify him. So they pulled the ambulance around. The cop was like, you sure that's him? I'm like, I will never.
You'll never forget a face like that. Are you kidding?
So then that happened like January, February, like in April. September, a friend of mine is an investigative journalist for NBC. Mm-hmm. And he's like Joel Grover, and he did a short little series called Streets of Shame. Mm-hmm. He's like, Heidi, will you please be on my show, please? And I go, no, I will not. I'm embarrassed. I have PTSD so bad. Yeah. And he goes, but it'll help. Trust me. And I was like, okay. So I did it, and it was gonna air on a Monday. On Friday night, a friend of mine, she texted me, and she's like, I'm watching Friends, and there's you saying, oh, a bucket of diarrhea. And I was like, what? She's like, it's on the news. Like, it's a little flash. Like, on Monday, Joel Grover investigates.
Damn.
And it's me saying a bucket of diarrhea. So it turned into this, like, I don't know. It was nuts. So then when I did that the next day, like, Fox News called.
So what you're trying to say is your claim to fame is not what you wanted it to be.
Crazy. It all took a crazy turn.
You're like, no, this is not how I want to be known.
No. And then I did Fox News, which I wasn't going to do, but they were lovely. And I just got my story out. Yeah. And I did Dr. Drew. I did The Doctors. I did all these shows.
That's amazing.
That I didn't ask for anything. I should have made some money from, but I didn't.
But
whatever.
You got
I wanted
the story
to,
out
yeah.
there. So, I mean, with, God, the homeless situation in LA and so many places are so just out of control.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to him? Do you know what?
Yes.
Tell me.
What sucks is that I've learned so many things from this experience, and I went from very, very left to I'm in the middle now, because it's about the mayor. It's about, like, this guy had more rights than I did.
Wow, that's incredibly fucking.
And nobody called me to say, hey, we'll take care of your therapy, or I never knew. And now the statute of I talked to a cop the other day, like not the other day, maybe a couple months ago, and he is helping me now. He's like, we actually extended it because a lot of the victims don't want to come out right away because your PTSD is so bad that you're like, no, I don't want to. But we found out that he was, because I said, I don't want him to go to jail. I want him to go into a facility, because we found out he's schizophrenic, bipolar.
Do you know how many are on the streets?
It's more than 85%. And I don't care if anybody says, no, it's not. It is because of that.
Yeah.
It's that. And then this guy went and did drugs. So it's a whole
cycle.
So he needs rehab and his pills every day and a nice facility where he can go, and he shouldn't be on the street. So what happened is that they took him to a facility, I don't know where, for a month. Got him okay or whatever, as okay as he can be. And then we found out that the judge said he wasn't fit to stand trial. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He wasn't fit to stand trial. That means he's too mentally ill to stand a trial. So wouldn't you think you'd keep him? No. They asked him, where would you like to go? And they drove him to the same spot. So he's on the street.
That's
the first time I drove past that place, maybe 6 months after that. I mean, I went all the way around. I wouldn't even go past it. And I just look for him, and I'm not going to cry. But I see.
But it's emotional. Yeah. I get that. I mean, it's crazy. It's I mean, that's I'm so sorry. That's so terrible that happened.
Last night I parked my car to walk home, and I open my trunk and I get out this bat. I have a metal bat.
I was like, I get out my 9mm.
Oh, trust me, it's coming. But I got my bat and I walk home and I'm looking around, and then I was like, no, I just grab it like this, so I'm ready. And I mean, I'm a maniac, but I'm very no, you're not gonna fuck with me. You're not gonna. Nope. So
it's so incredibly sad how, I mean, I know that, I don't know which president it was. I knew,
Reagan.
But I forgot. Who was it?
Reagan.
It was Reagan that shut down all the mental facilities.
Reagan.
Which there's a part of me that understands possibly why, because they were abusing a lot of the patients.
Yeah.
But at the same time, no, they're needed.
Yep.
Because, I mean, like you said, these homeless people on the street, there's 85% of them that are mentally ill.
Yep.
It's not a drug thing. It's not a choice.
No.
I think I'm just going to be homeless.
No.
It's not that.
Nope.
And yet nobody's helping them.
Nope.
It's just they're literally, to me, they're just disposing of them and just letting them live wherever they want on the streets. And it's crazy and insane and scary.
There was a police officer that got in touch with me, and he's like, I would love for you never to say my name. I was like, no, I won't.
Yeah.
And he is a police officer down in Skid Row. Oh. And he goes, they are building these apartments across the street. And everybody's like, oh, this is amazing. He's like, it's taken 2 years, and it's taking $100 million. And he's like, do you know how small these they're like little tiny places for just a twin bed and like a kitchenette and a toilet. And he goes, each one of those now is worth $7 million. He's like, he's like, I'm telling you right now, it's corrupt. The state has enough money to make a rehab center, because that's what's needed.
That's exactly what's needed.
So I went around and I went to all the shelters, and that's what I did. I went around and I wanted to look and see. I really dove into it.
You really did your research on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a place off of Sunset, in between Sunset and Selma. It's right by the Y.
Okay.
It's beautiful. I walked in. You should see. They are allowed. Not they, but the people that are staying there are allowed to be there for up to 4 years. Okay. 4 years, and there's a waiting list that is thousands.
20 years.
Thousands of people on this waiting list, because there's air conditioning.
Yeah.
You have your own little cubicle. It's really cool. It's separate. There's men and women. There's showers. It's beautiful, but it's really sad that.
So why don't you think that our government doesn't want to actually help and take care of them?
Because this is why I also learned from one of the police officers. And I also learned from, not a congressman, I forget what he does here. I don't think he's doing it anymore. But for each homeless person in Los Angeles, the city gets money for.
What?
This is all I learned.
How and why?
I don't know, to help take care of them. All the tents, I don't like to camp.
Right.
But everyone I know is like, yeah, they're like the real expensive tents. Those were given to them by the city. It was one year when it was cold out.
Okay,
and
that
they
makes
felt
sense.
bad.
That they all have like the same tents and they have cell phones.
Each month they get their, it's not a lot. It's like $1,000, $2,000. That's more than my parents make.
Holy shit.
That's more than my parents make.
That's more than my mom makes on Social Security.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Wow.
So I learned a lot of stuff, and people are like, that's not true. And I'm like, it's true.
Yeah.
It's sad because like Dr. Drew had said too, I talked to him when I was on a show, he's like, imagine you're schizophrenic. It's hot out. You're in Los Angeles. It is a jungle.
Literally.
Yeah. And you're walking around, and that's going to exasperate your
it's going to trigger all kinds
illness.
of things. Yeah.
And then you do meth, or you smoke a little pot, or you drink, and that's going to exasperate that. It's just this whole, like, I feel really bad. But it's not about a woman like down on her luck with 2 kids, and because there are so many. One of the cops said each night he calls the shelters. There are so many beds, and nobody wants to go in there because there are rules. You got to be in.
They don't want to play. They don't want to play by the rules.
You can't do your drugs. You can't bring your dog. You can't.
Right.
Or no, I think you can bring dogs. But anyhow, yeah. So now I'm just.
So you got a little educated on the homeless situation and got really depressed about it.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time, and still to this day, if I hear, like, I remember I was getting in my car the other day, and I heard this sound. I was like, and it was a plastic bag, like, moving around. I was like, wow, man, this PTSD really, like, goes in, like.
Yeah, it goes in waves and everything else.
Yeah, there's no time limit. It's like grief.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. It'll take time, and damn, I'm so sorry. That is like
thanks.
one of the suckiest stories. I mean, it's like
thank God I have a sense of humor.
Yes.
Thank God.
Thank God you do.
I'd be in some facility right now.
Oh my God. And with that sense of humor, tell me about your Jehovah Witness bring up.
Just gets better.
Woo, we'll just slide right into that
this poor
one.
show, you're like, yeah, we're gonna cancel this one.
No way. This is the fun stuff that people want to hear about.
Well, what I'm shocked that I didn't know that you grew up in something that's similar. Oh my God.
Yeah, I like I was telling you this morning, I grew up in a church that I joke and say it was a cult, but it was a worldwide Church of God.
Worldwide Church of God.
Worldwide Church of God. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds amazing.
It is.
All inclusive, like, let's,
yeah. No, It's, they took, like, Jehovah Witness, Baptist, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, Mormon, you name it.
all the good ones.
All the ones across the board, but they took all the bad shit, I say the bad shit, and pulled it all into the church. Like, meaning we didn't celebrate any Christmas, birthdays, Easter, no holidays we celebrated whatsoever. We weren't able to eat pork, no lard. Lard means donuts, which I was a kid, and that's all I wanted to eat. That's probably why I have such a thing about them today. Then it was like with the women, it was like the skirt has to go below the knee. Children were to be seen and not heard.
Wow.
Okay. And I hear this today, and it's like, my mom told me this, and I was like, no wonder I have issues. She goes, oh yeah, when you were a little baby, and you used to sit and cry. Okay, when babies cry for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She used to smack my ass and tell me to basically shut up, apparently. She goes, oh yeah, I tried to control that. I was like, are you kidding me? Oh, so here's my issue. There's my issue of why I don't want to cry.
Yeah, no, when I just was about to cry, I was like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, because of the fact that it's like, no, I wasn't allowed to cry.
Wow.
As a child. As a baby. So it's like all these different things, and then they got into, this is where my dad wasn't in it, but this is where my dad drew the line.
So your mom and dad were still together?
They were still together.
Okay.
They were married for I think 25 years when they got divorced. But the thing of it was, I think that this is where my dad said, okay, enough is enough, is when they started getting into their sex life and saying you could do this, this, and this, but you cannot do this, this, and this. My dad's
I
like,
wanna know
oh,
what
hell no.
I want to know what you couldn't. No, I'm just kidding.
No oral sex.
What?
Yeah. It was dirty and it was a no-no.
Yeah, that's like Jehovah's Witness,
See,
I believe.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Wow.
So I grew up in that, and I think my mom left the church, I want to say probably when I was probably around 12, because my parents got divorced when I was 13. But the Sabbath days were on Saturday, by the way. Absolutely no TV, no nothing, no work from sundown on Friday, obviously, to sundown on Saturday. So that means no Saturday cartoons in the morning.
Oh my God.
Dude.
This is crazy.
And then my mom tells me, it's funny. She goes, well, that you didn't have, you didn't miss. No, I did miss. And that's a fucked up way to say that.
Wow.
You know, but...
Wait, so after she left, you were able to, did she?
Yeah, but here's the thing. My mom kind of went in and out of the church like when it was convenient for her.
Yeah, when she needed something to fulfill her, like
even
whatever.
today, she doesn't celebrate Christmas.
Wow.
But yet she wants to celebrate something after Christmas. Isn't that odd? She doesn't want to celebrate the Christmas, but yet in January, she wants to pull us together.
Okay, wait, we're so much alike because so my mom and dad's wedding anniversary is January 3rd, 4th. One of those. It's the 4th, I think. So when I was in school, it sucked because everybody would come back from the break and be like, I got this for Christmas and this for Christmas. Well, my mom and dad decided it would be nice on their anniversary for just so I could have a gift. So they would get me a gift, and I grew up very like poor.
Yeah.
So I'd get a gift. I'd get a Swatch sweatshirt or something, and I'd go to school and be like, "Hey, I got this for Christmas." And like, "Well, what else did you get?" I'm like, "Oh, I got tons of other stuff." But like, that's crazy that was the same thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so Jehovah Witness, if I'm correct, they're the ones that walk around and knock on the doors.
Oh, yeah. When I was like, how old was I? I think my first door was like,
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
When I was like, I think it was 8. And it's funny you say about the donut thing, because I always say the reason why I love candy so much is because I never had a Halloween. Did you guys do that?
No,
nothing.
we had nothing.
So I've never met anybody who wasn't a Jehovah's Witness say any of this.
Yeah. No, I went through the same thing.
Yeah.
No Halloween, no Easter, no nothing. And everybody else was celebrating it and having a good time. And I was
What
like,
about in school? Were you able to like color stuff? Yeah, same. I had to go to the library
Yep,
with
I wasn't able to do anything or participate in any activities that had to do with holidays.
Yes, same.
That suck. That's so sad.
It's so weird though that
So
you did that.
wrong.
It's so wrong because it's all about having fun and there's no harm in it. And I'm sorry. Yeah. So what happened is his name's J.T. Rutherford, which he sounds like a circus performer, like a J.T. Rutherford coming to your town. He was there was the guy who started Jehovah's Witnesses in like the late 1800s, the same time when the Mormons. It was like like religion was up for grabs. Yeah. Everyone was making up their own thing.
Yeah.
And so the guy who took it over like in the 30s. Said no beards, because all Jehovah's Witnesses guys had beards, and no birthdays. Before that, they had a birthday.
What's with the birthday thing?
It's a freaking awesome day.
It's like we're celebrating that we were born.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a no-no?
So allegedly it's in the Bible. Well, as a young kid, I challenged the elders of the congregation, and they would come to my house and go, well, Heidi, it's not, we couldn't find any scripture, but here's things that are similar to why.
Alluding to.
And I would just always be like, but that doesn't say no birthdays.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad were like, oh my God.
It's like the Young Sheldon episode, Young Sheldon actually challenges God. I love that.
I'm like, there's nothing. And so I was very like, this is wrong.
So you're a little bit rebellious when it came to that.
Yeah.
But they still made you knock on doors.
So my first door was like at 8. And I remember it was just the worst. I had bright red hair, a slight stutter, like sweaty, like just. And of course the woman's going to say, yeah, I'll take your magazines. Because I'm like, this poor little kid. Like, she's like, oh my God. But we would take that money. Now they don't ask for money. But it was 35 cents. And I had this little coin purse. And we were supposed to save the money and put it into the box at the Kingdom Hall, which is where Jehovah's Witnesses go. It's not a church. And we're supposed to, well, hell no. So I saved it for a donut.
Right
We'd
on.
stop for like our coffee break.
Yeah.
And I would like look around. And even at age 8, 9, I started to like, I was sneaky because
Yeah.
you have to be, because
Yeah.
you can't do anything else. So I would go and I'd get like a cherry flavored covered donut, and I would pay the whatever it was, like save my money up. I remember once my mom was like, "Where'd you get that money from?" I was like, from the magazines. And my mom was like, all right. I mean, my parents are the coolest, and they say that they're every day they're like, "I'm sorry."
Oh, really?
I'm sorry. Yeah, because my mom's like, "You could."
Yeah, no, my mom's not an everyday I'm sorry. My mom's well, that you didn't have, you won't miss, or that you didn't miss. It's just like, yeah, that's my mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Where did you grow?
San Bernardino.
Up? Oh, okay.
San Bernardino, California.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Worldwide Church of God.
Is it still around?
Well, that's an interesting thing too, because tell me why they kind of dispersed and shut down certain, churches. And apparently the church was extremely wealthy. There's,
of course.
Yeah, aren't they all? There is a big, huge congregational church thing over in Pasadena, as a matter of fact. It's still there.
Really?
When they built this thing, it was millions and millions and millions of dollars. So yeah.
It's so crazy.
I know.
Like where? Like what? Why?
I don't know.
Oh God.
I know.
But I need your shirt. Strong as fuck.
Strong as fuck.
I need to wear it
fuck.
at
Let me
night with
move
my
this.
metal.
There we go. Get a nice little shot of it. Those are in my store. Ice T-shirts.
Oh,
Thank you.
T-shirts.
So what are you up to today? What are you up to in your life? Where are you going? What are you doing?
This is another thing that happened. I don't know if you had this as a kid, but as a Jehovah's Witness, when you're raised as one, our goals were that the end of the world is coming.
Always. My mom talks about it all the time.
And that's a weird,
But we're kind of there.
Oh, it is. I saw it last night on Santa Monica. It was like end of the world. It was like zombie apocalypse.
Shit's happening that is
crazy.
just kind of crazy out there.
But I never was allowed, we weren't allowed to go to college, but now the Jehovah's Witnesses are. So they make up these
know that.
Yeah, they make up these they make up everything like every year as a new thing.
Wow.
They're all 5 men that are like 85 years old. Like, add some new blood in there. It's ridiculous.
Right?
But so you asked me and I feel like I'm just starting. Sometimes I feel like I'm 20 years old.
Again.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 20 inside. Like, what do I want to be when I grow up?
But I think that in today's day and age, what's happening is that it's allowing us at our ages to have that second act. Mm-hmm. And we can do whatever we want to do.
Of course.
And I tell people that all the time. It's like you can do whatever you want. You just got to put your mind to it. You got to have the work ethic, and you just got to go for it.
Yep. I always say Grandma Moses, who started painting at age 72.
Wow.
72. So I have some time.
Oh, there you go. Exactly. A lot of actors, as a matter of fact, too.
Yeah.
A lot of actors, musicians, they have a late start, and they just, it's like their second act of their life.
Yeah, and so we're lucky that we live in the United States, because a lot of places, as women too, they don't have that opportunity. But we can change it every year.
And we're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of depends. That's
true.
Another podcast.
That's true.
Exactly, of where women are going today.
Yeah. Nobody's offended by anything.
Oh my God, right? Don't offend anyone. Don't butt hurt anyone.
I work with a bunch of younger people, and by young, I mean to me they're late 20s. Mm-hmm. But I was sitting there and I said something, I forget what it was, and I didn't think anything of it, and they just looked at me and were like, "Oh, you can't say that anymore." I was like, "What did I say?"
What did you say?
I forget what it was, but it wasn't anything horrible. I forget what I said.
It's so funny. I want to say something so bad right now, and I'm afraid I can't say it. I used to say it all the time, and now I can't say the word, and everybody's like, "You can't say that."
It's great. And I was like, "Oh," and then one of the guys was like, "You're so old." I'm like, "I'm not old. I'm just I'm seasoned, but stop being so offended by everything."
Offended by everything. Well,
that's what Joe Rogan was talking about. That I forget. It was just a few of his podcasts back. Mm-hmm. He was talking about that. get over it. What the hell is going to happen?
On your podcast, I mean, you guys do talk a lot about the conspiracies.
Yeah.
And, I mean, do you get into the politics and stuff as well?
Dan, not so. He's always like, oh, well, we have a listener who made a song called Conspiracy Corner. I heard it from a friend of a friend, so it must be true. Because I'm always like, no, it's true. And they're like, oh, please.
Here we go again.
But listen, everything I've said has come true.
And it's not a conspiracy if it comes true.
No, it's just a conspiracy, right? Not a conspiracy theory or something, yeah. But the alien thing, look at what's happening.
Well, that to me is like, shiny object, squirrel, because something else is happening over here. And we are going into an election season.
Oh, of course.
And it's going to be gnarly.
Yep.
It's going to be gnarly.
Yep.
And we were talking about this again, and not to go too deep in it, but yeah, it's like you said, you used to be, really far left, and then there's really far right.
Yep.
I'm neither. I never followed politics. Nope. I'm like right in the middle. There's got to be a purple party.
Yeah.
And apparently because I'm gay.
Yeah. Oh, you are? Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So I'm supposed to be all the way on the left side.
Right.
But it's like some of their thoughts, their values of what's happening and what they believe in. I'm just like, no.
It's both extremes. I don't want any of it.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think there's more the majority of like, I look back behind you and there's like a purple wall and it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the color.
Purple part. Yeah. Now, when you grew up, were you guys allowed to vote?
What do you mean? Were we allowed?
We were
to
never
vote?
allowed to vote. Like,
I don't know.
No.
No. We weren't. No, in the church, no.
So he took all the bad stuff from the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. No, you're not allowed to vote.
Yeah.
God's going to do what God's going to do, and God's going to put in office who he wants in office.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I'd like to have a discussion with him about right now of who's in.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of embarrassing.
Yep. Wow. Oh.
Yeah. So my mom actually rebelled against that, and she said, "This year I'm voting." Because she has her thoughts. And I think my sister just went, rah, 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 towards her because she's super political.
Well, the first time I voted was, I don't know. I remember it was Kerry and I forget who the other guy was. Was it Bush? And I cried when I walked out because I felt super like a part of a society.
Because you had never been able to vote before.
Never. And then that's what they want to do. They want to exclude you from,
of course,
caring about. But are you kidding me?
The world.
Now I'm like, and I'm not a big political person, but I've been through stuff. So to me, I think once you've been through it, you see it, you can't look away, and you can't go back to what you were.
What you know.
Yes.
What you know.
Yes.
It's like the whole alien thing is it's kind of funny to me. It really is, because I've always thought this, and that is, we're pretty damn arrogant if we actually think we're the only ones here in this entire galaxy universe. I mean, it's insane how big it is. And we can't be that arrogant. There's absolutely no way. So, yeah, I believe they've been here forever. I don't know how they're walking around.
I think I dated one of them.
Probably.
I'm not sure.
I have friends that are probably aliens. But it's funny because I remember they were like, the whole conspiracy of them is like, no, they don't exist, but Area 55 does. And, oh, that's a conspiracy too.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, no, I don't.
If you notice, back in the day, everybody who saw a UFO or was abducted had like one tooth in their mouth and was like, I was abducted. And that's what they wanted us to believe, is that they were this crazy, like, oh God,
they're all from Florida.
But yeah, I saw a shiny thing, and you're like, oh Lord. And now they're having congressional hearings saying, no, we're right.
Well, I heard a long time ago, they were like, oh no, we can't let this out because the general public will panic.
No.
Well,
Nobody freaking cared.
Well, it's exactly.
Everybody's like, oh, Kardashians,
it's like,
what are they wearing?
It's like, are you kidding? They didn't care because we've known it forever.
Yes.
We're not stupid. They sure want us to think that we're stupid, but it's like, it's kind of funny.
If you watched any of the hearing, like I watched like tidbits of it, and the woman's like, so what you're saying is that you have a pilot or a non-human, I forget the word she used, and the guy was like, well, yes, Normally, when there's a spaceship or an unidentified, whatever they call it, there's a new name for it. It's not UFO.
So they're not. It's like our boobs. We have new names for
Yeah,
them.
yeah. These are
breastfeeders.
Wait, no. What are they
Something
called?
like that. I don't know.
I forget.
So now they're naming an alien ship
It's
other
something.
than
I'm like, I don't want to offend the aliens now.
Right.
Now it's not that.
we might piss them off.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But he basically said, yeah, well, when we recovered the ship, there usually is somebody manning the ship. He said it in not those words,
right? But
that, and you're just like, what? And nobody freaking cared. Everyone was like, oh, they're all about. I'm like, do you guys know what's happening right now?
Yeah.
And they're preparing us because in December, allegedly, there is supposed to be a meeting. We're going to be like actually like
meeting with them,
something like
maybe
that.
Like on Zoom.
I don't know. FaceTime, because we're all going to be in lockdown again or something.
Exactly. We're having a Zoom session with the aliens today.
Could you put your mask on? I know they're
right. Exactly.
You're the only one in the room, but please.
See, this is what's so fun about this. I mean, let's be real. It is. It's just so fun to sit and chit chat about these kind of things.
It's silly.
It is silly.
It really is.
What's happening? Where'd the common sense go?
That's what it, like, think about in the 80s. This wouldn't happen. I'm sorry, but we were all sort of like, that's.
Because we were all watching Gladiators.
Exactly. I'm such a fan.
And loving heavy metal bands.
You were just oh my God, you still are. And I'm like, you're just the coolest fucking chick.
Aww.
I talk about you all the time. And I have a friend that was such a fan of yours. And
is that the friend I want to meet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to meet this
I can't wait
fan.
for you guys
I can't wait to meet this. Okay. This is the most gorgeous, handsome man. I'm not going to say his name that I want to meet.
He's so sweet.
And yes, I swear to God, I always go, he could probably switch sides. I mean, he could make me switch sides. Okay, wink, wink.
He's so sweet. He's such a nice guy.
I even asked my girlfriend, I said, can I? And she goes, yeah, I'd give you a pass. I'm like, yes. Oh
my God, I got to tell him.
Exactly. Anyway, Heidi, thank you so much for coming on the podcast
Thank
today.
you for asking me.
Dude, this hour went so fast, and there's so many things to talk about.
I feel like I'm all over the place, and I'm
It's cool though. It's fun.
I'm like, who wants to hear my stories?
But everybody does.
I have so many.
Everybody wants to hear stories, and that's what's so cool about the podcast. You know, especially the world of podcasting now. We get to have stories out there.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. I mean, you enjoy it. Shit, you're co-host on the podcast. It's awesome.
Thank you.
But don't go anywhere.
Thank you for having me.
Because we're going to do a rapid fire question with you, which is fun.
Oh, Jesus.
And it goes on my Patreon. Ooh. And only my rapid fire questions are on my Patreon. So Patreon at Chillin with Ice is where you need to go. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. I adore you. And I can't believe that we have so much
we have so much in common.
No birthdays?
No birthdays. We're going to get together and celebrate our birthdays.
Yay.
Awesome.
When's your birthday?
March 28th.
Okay, cool.
I won't say the year. Let's see. What year do I want to have? I want to stay at like 45. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm doing 45 too. That's a good number.
45?
Yeah.
Okay, high five on that one.
High five.
All right, beautiful.
Thanks.
So peace out, Chillin' with Ice. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Peace out. We'll see you later. Don't miss the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcasts. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.